Parks, schools, restaurants, and more, Assembly Row gets high scores. We're a thriving city with so much to do. On Boston Harbor, in our view, politics, cannabis, controversial stories, heroes, villains, who gets the glory? 50 plus languages in Somerville is spoken. Sanctuary city, there are no free tokens. History in Somerville stays alive. In All American City, we won 3 times. Somerville connects. Somerville connects.
Welcome to another edition of Dead Air Live, the longest live-running TV show in America and audio podcast, Somerville Connects. Today we have the lovely Tami Hiroka. Welcome, Tami.
Thank you, Jojo, for having me here today.
Well, Tami, I'm so happy to have you here. We're going to be taking everyone on a journey today because we are going to travel with Tami. So, Tami, I met you on B&I Speed Networking, and you are from Houston, Texas, and you own a travel agency called FRESI Travel, as in FRESI Travel. So, Tami, tell us a little bit about who you are, our listeners and our viewers, and how you made it and got to FRESI Travel, because you are extremely well-versed, cultural. You've been all around the world. So take us around the world, Tami.
So I'm originally from Peru, South America, but I'm 75% Japanese. So that mix of culture always opened me to different experiences, historic-wise, and cuisine as well. So I was very, very curious about other cultures and cuisine since I was very little. So I started traveling, I think at 1 year old, when my mom took me to the US as well as Japan. And then I continued traveling throughout my early years. And when I was 15, my mom decided to send me to Japan by myself as an exchange student. And then 1 month I spent in my aunt's house, which was in the middle of a countryside town. And I lived in an actual Buddhist temple because my uncle is a Buddhist priest. So I spent 1 month there. I didn't know the language when I got there, so I had to learn Japanese in a month because they didn't speak Spanish or English. So I was always traveling around. And when I came to Houston and studied my MBA at Rice University, I graduated from here, and then I got a job here. So that's how I ended up staying in Houston. And I worked for oil and gas in the oil and gas industry for around 13 years. And that's where I met my business partner. And we both had the same passion, traveling. And so what did we do while we were working in oil and gas? We were taking a group of people traveling around the world, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, Japan, and we were doing this for free. It was just a hobby for us. But we started getting more and more inquiries about trips, and so we couldn't keep it up. And we finally thought maybe this should be a business and not just a hobby, and taking people for free on a trip. So that's how we founded FRESI Travels back in 2017.
Wow. That is a wow factor. These people that you took on these trips for free, where did you meet these people? How did this happen?
In the company, actually. They were in the oil and gas industry. So they also had the same passion for traveling, but they decided that we could arrange the trips. Talking about free, it was free, meaning that we didn't receive any compensation for it, but everybody had to pay their own hotel, tours, air transfers, etc. But we met them working in oil and gas.
Why do you love doing what you do? Because you have to be passionate. You have to be passionate about what you do in order to do a great job.
So first of all, I think traveling makes you a better person in everywhere. It transforms you to be just better, more empathetic, humble, grateful, compassionate about other people. And it also makes you fulfill your life differently. So I wanted to have my clients the same type of experiences that I had. And I have the experience of organizing trips. So to different destinations, I have been to 59 countries now. So I think I have a lot of experience, especially in destinations that are more exotic than the regular destinations. So I can transfer that experience in their own itineraries and make them have a stress-free vacation.
It
So
it sounds like you being a travel agent, you're offering to people how they can have the balance of the mind, the body, and the soul. You ultimately give them the whole experience because for you, it's been a lot of personal growth. And you're very, very young to have this much wisdom for a young person is mind blowing. You're a very old soul. You know that, right?
yes, I am a very old soul.
You are. So when you tell people about the trips, do you tell them about the personal growth that they're going to go through, or do they discover that on their own?
So what we do in our company is first of all we get to know the our client first before we even touch an itinerary. So we want to know what they like, what they dislike, what are their preferences, not what you heard from your neighbor or from a friend. It's more about you. What are you expecting for this trip? And of course, we will share our own experience to them. And if they are willing to have that experience as well as growing experiences. For example, in my personal trips, I always look for a nonprofit that I can support, especially in underdeveloped countries. And so I always ask my clients if they are open to know a nonprofit that that we partner with, and to discover more than just the cultural sites, the great restaurants, but also meet the people, who the people are.
That's fabulous. I'm sure most people are in agreement of partnering with you with the nonprofit, and they probably look at you and just say, "I want to do business with Tammy." Right?
Yes.
So Tammy, tell us about some of the questions that you ask the people on your questionnaire because you basically carve it out to who the people are and what they're looking for. Like some people may want to be, they just may want to relax and not be around the hustle and bustle. And some people want the nightlife and they want the restaurants and they want to eat, they just want to eat a ton of food. That's me.
That's me too as well. But yes, those are one of the questions that we ask. What are the type of experiences you're looking for? Are you more active person or you're more into having somebody drive you around? Who are you traveling with? Because sometimes the person is all excited, but then they tell us, "Oh, we're traveling with my mom who is 75 years old, and then my little kid who is 2 years old." So there's a difference in how they travel, right? So even though you have a personal opinion, we have to make sure that everybody can travel comfortably and we can have experiences for all the ages that are included in your bubble that is traveling with you. So of course we will ask them for budget wise, destinations that they want to see during the trip. Sometimes they want to see a lot for the amount of time that they have available. So we also ask for how many days are you willing to travel or take this trip for. That's very important. And we are very realistic. We will be very honest with the client if we think it's too much. That they're trying to accomplish in a few days, we will make them be sure that they understand that it's too much. but yet mainly it's about what they like in life. Food is one, of course. People like nightlife. Some people like culture. Other are looking for more active activities such as um, biking or hiking. And some other people are like, no, please do not put any biking in my itinerary because I don't like biking. So it depends on each group and each person that is traveling. And we try to talk to everybody that is involved in the trip. So if it's a multi-generational trip, we will talk to the grandparents as well as if we can talk to the kids if they're not too little, like teenagers. We will also talk to them to make sure we're not just focusing on the preference of their parents, but also we're including them in the conversation.
So a lot of people when they travel, they have the worry, "Oh, I'm going to another country and I don't know the language."
Yes.
What do you encourage people? Do they download an app? Do they have some special translator? How do you work with different people? And what's the most quick, effective way for someone to maybe not learn a language, but to get by with what they need to know?
So first of all, we always work with partners that are in the country. So we normally work with private tours. So you will always have like a private guide or somebody that you can rely on. But if you're going on your own, there, of course, we give them free time to roam. Uh, what I always suggest is Google Translate works really well. And if you have your phone, it's very easy to download that app. However, we also, what we do in our company, especially for more exotic destinations, that you don't know about the culture or the history um, or the language, what we do is we have a free session that we give to the client before their trip to make sure that they understand the culture and the cultural differences as well. So, for example, for Japan, Japan has very social rules that you have to follow. So we normally sit down with them at least for an hour and just talking through it. Make sure they understand so that they don't get frustrated when they get to a country and maybe people don't understand them the way that you want to be understood. And it's just because there's a cultural difference. Also, differences in food. The food what we have here might be different there, so you need to understand what you can get there versus here. So
So,
we also provide that.
so a lot of people get jet lag when
Yes.
they travel. So let's say someone's taking a long trip. I'm really
Mhm.
curious about this. And the trip's going to be 12 hours and you know that there's a time difference. Do you encourage them to get up and go or do you tell them to rest for a few hours when they get to their hotel because you're planning their trip? How do you handle
Yes.
jet lag?
So normally the first day we'll try to make it as easy as possible, not a lot of activities on the first day. I normally suggest do not sleep until it's time to sleep in the country that you're arriving. If you're super, super tired, just take a small nap. Otherwise, your biological clock won't turn into the local time. If you're trying to sleep at your home base country's time, it's going to be very difficult. But normally, the first day, I try to make it as as clear as possible, especially the first few hours, especially if you're arriving like at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. I won't put anything on that first day, or maybe something just a small tour if you don't have time a lot of time in that country. But normally the first day is kind of a relaxing day for the client.
So I want you to take us on a tour around the world, the places that you've been, and I want you to tell me if you've been to Japan, what's your favorite thing about Japan, and what you would tell people you have to visit this spot or you have to do this. So take it away, Tammy.
So, well, Japan is one of my favorite countries. I might be a little bit biased since I lived there for a few months and I still have family there. I go to Japan every single year except this year. It has been the first year that I haven't been there. Um, but Japan, it just offer a wide range of activities that you can do. It's mind blowing where you get to, when you get to Tokyo, and it's a very modern city, just like New York, with a lot of lights and a lot of people walking around. But then you walk around, and you can see the culture already there. You might see a Buddhist temple, or you might see people wearing kimono, um, just walking around a park. So those type of contrasts, I like it because you see the modern side of Japan, but also the very traditional cultural Japan. If you're going to travel to Japan, of course, you most likely will arrive in Tokyo, which I totally agree that you have to spend a few days there. And of course, Kyoto, it's the historic city in Japan where you will find the Golden Temple. And most people travel for cherry blossom season because all the temples will be with these beautiful pink flowers. But my favorite season, it's fall. It's not spring. The leaves are amazing. The colors come from green to red. So I think it's a better time to travel during fall than during spring, where you're trying to look for the cherry blossoms that might happen within a week time frame. Fall, it's during a month. You can find the leaves changing colors. And also for you, Jojo, that you're a foodie, of course, Japan, it's a foodie destination. You can have a different dish every single day, and you won't get a repeat dish if you like. And you can eat from a food stand or a small shop in a train station to a Michelin star restaurant, because Japan has the most number of Michelin star restaurants in the world, surpassing France.
Okay, next stop. Next
Next,
stop with Travels with Tammy.
where do you want to go? I just came back from Africa. I
Oh,
was
do
there
do
for a month.
do tell. Okay, do you have to have a ton of shots?
To go
And
to Africa.
yeah, in your arm, you got to get a malaria, and which is
Um, so the malaria, yes, it's not a shot. It's a malaria pills that you have to start uh, taking them around 3 days before you travel to the destination. Not all the countries will have malaria, but um, the country that I went to was Uganda, so it has malaria. It is not mandatory. It's only if you want to take the pills. What is mandatory is the yellow fever shot. That's the only thing that is mandatory for Uganda, but it will depend on each country. And that's where I come in as a travel advisor. I will let you know what shots you need to take and what are the recommended shots. The recommended shots or the recommended medicines, for example, malaria pills. It's one of the recommended ones. Um, but also now with COVID, of course, there's some travel restrictions and requirements. And that's where I also will help you out as a traveler. I will be on top of the changes or the changes or the requirements that each country has. For example, in Uganda, there was a requirement of a 72-hour PCR COVID test um, before you arrive. And they normally check it when you're checking in here in the US. So you have to make sure that you calculate the 72 hours correctly, so you're not rejected. Um, so I spent 2 weeks in Uganda. I did a safari, the regular one where you're in a jeep and look at the different animals. Of course, we saw the big five, and and then
the
what it was
big
exciting,
the big
five like
five.
the lions, rhinos, um, um, leopards, and what else is?
Hippopotamus,
Yes, hippos. Yes,
elephants.
elephants. We saw giraffes. Um, we saw climbing lions. Actually, they were on trees. Uganda and Tanzania are the only ones who have climbing lions.
Was it
So
scary?
no, well, you don't go out of the jeep, so you have to be on the jeep. So they're not scary. You just need to be careful not to get out of the Jeep. So we
If
didn't
you
never left the Jeep.
if you got out of the Jeep, would you be the next
In danger?
male for the lion?
You could be. But the most dangerous animals in Africa are not the lions, are the hippos. They kill more humans than the lions.
Well, how do they kill the humans if the hippos are in the water?
Well, because people there are fishermen, and so they go into the lakes or the rivers, and you cannot see the hippo if they're submerged. But if you are a fisherman with like a little boat or just walking around and you don't see that there's a baby hippo, the hippos are very territorial and protective of their family. So if they see somebody that might be a danger for them, they attack and they
They
will
don't
rip you out.
they don't seem like they can move very fast because they weigh
Oh,
so much.
they move very, very fast in the water because they walk. They don't swim. They walk in the
Oh.
water. So they are on shallow waters, not very deep waters.
So the moral of the story with
Is
travels with Tami is do not go near the hippos because they will eat you up alive.
yes, yes,
Arr.
yes. But the highlight of the Uganda trip, it's really the trekking with the gorillas.
Oh, do
So,
tell.
Uganda as well as Rwanda and the Congo are the only countries where you can actually hike and be very close to the gorillas. So in Uganda, we did 2 treks to look for the gorillas, and we actually met 2 different families of gorillas. You are kind of very close to them. So what happens is the gorilla family goes through a process of getting used to humans, and the gorillas take 2 years on this process to get to know humans, so that they are accepting us into their family. So you have to hike and then
When you
yes.
say accepting into the family, I don't understand. What does that mean exactly?
So if you go by yourself and you hike into the forest and you find a family that it's not used to humans,
Mm-hmm.
that's when there might be a problem. They are not normally, they don't attack you, but if they feel insecure or they feel that you're a threat, they will attack you. But these families, because they're used to humans, they don't really care about you seeing you around. They don't feel that you're a threat to them.
Okay. So your
Mhm.
next place of excitement. Have you been to Dubai?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay. I heard in Dubai, and I don't know if this is true, because I love to sing when I walk along. I just love to sing. I heard that you cannot do that. If you do that, they'll lock you up in jail.
I haven't heard about singing in Dubai, but I'll find out for you.
Because I would love to go to Dubai, but I don't want to say bye bye in Dubai because I'll be locked up in jail. I want to know what are the rules in Dubai.
Well, yes, and that's one of the things that we do. Also, we will research about the rules, the cultural rules, or cultural differences that you might experience in each country, what you can do and what you shouldn't be doing in a country. So that's something that we provide to our clients on our 1 hour conversation that we have, as well as in a document.
So you can help people anywhere in the world get to wherever they want. And if I'm correct, you deal with all forms of travel by plane, by boat, by train.
Yes, that's correct. We can organize a trip to any destination in the world. We belong to a consortia through our host agency called Virtuoso, which is the largest luxury consortia in the world. So through them, we have partnerships in every country that we rely on taking care of our clients on site. So they are the ones providing the transportation, uh, the guides, and any type of support that you need in country. So normally they have a 24/7 phone available for our clients. So if something happened, if you need anything, you can call them.
How are you dealing as a travel agency with COVID? How has that impacted your business, changed your business? What are some of the things that you're doing to still encourage travel?
So of course, COVID hit us very, very deeply. Most of our time at first we're only focused on cancellations. But after the second half of the year, we started seeing a little bit more travel. What we did was, first of all, we started traveling ourselves to make sure that it was safe to travel and what we can provide as tips and recommendations for our clients. We understand not everybody is ready to travel, but there's ways to travel safely. For example, of course, washing your hands, wearing a mask, what type of like things that you can carry in your carry-on to make sure that you're safe. For example, hand sanitizers or cleaning wipes and things like that. But we also look at the destination that they're going. So if somebody asks us for a destination, we will make sure that we tell them everything about we know about the country, not only the restrictions or requirements, but also what is the COVID situation in that particular country that they're looking for. But what have changed in travel in general is people are starting to travel a little bit different. People are looking for just one destination instead of trying to cover a lot of countries at the same time in one trip because of all the restrictions and the requirements. If you try to hop from one country to another, you might have a lot of restrictions. Second, it's a lot of people are looking for more open spaces where you're not stuck in with a lot of people, like museums or big cities where there's not a lot of green space. So that's why Africa, it's a very, very good destination because everything is wide open.
It's
Even the
beautiful.
hotels, it's wide open. You are like in a tented lodge with only a few people. And also, you can travel with your own bubble, a small bubble, right? So people now, instead of wanting to go with 30 other people, they are trying to look for their own bubble, just their own family, or maybe a couple of other families that they can trust. And trust meaning that everybody will take care of themselves before traveling. For example, for our Uganda trip, we were 15 people and we all decided to do a quarantine 15 days before our trip, besides our COVID test, to make sure that nobody was infected, not even with COVID, but just a regular flu or regular cold that you can um, pass it to everybody else. So I think that's the part that everybody's changing a little bit their mindset right now.
It's beautiful. People are being more mindful. So,
Mhm.
Tammy, how would you like people to find you?
So you can follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Just search for FRESI Travels, or you can scan our QR that it's just next to my face right now. Or you can look at our website. It's fresitravels.com.
Beautiful. You are so lovely. Thank you so much, Tammy Hiroka. Appreciate you being here today. You are delightful. You're beautiful. You're intelligent. You're cultural. You have it all. And if you want to travel, you want to travel with Tammy because she is a fabulous human being. I have a feeling I'm going to know her forever. And thank you for joining us for another edition of Dead Air Live and Somerville Connects. And Tammy, thank you so much for being our guest today.
Thank you so much, Jojo, for having me here today.
It's my pleasure. And folks, bye for now. See you again. Bye bye.
Somerville connects. Somerville connects.